Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to show you some of the absolutely genius and superbly gorgeous chord voicings and also harmonic movements and chord progressions of the great Keith Jarrett. So I hope you get a ton out of this video. I want to say a really quick thank you and shout out to today's sponsor, the Quartet app. Quartet has a collection of 500 jazz standards, all recorded with actual live musicians. Plus, on top of that, they have a ton of awesome features in the app that actually make practicing just more fun and effective. So definitely recommend checking it out. More on that later. So obviously in pretty much all types of music, but especially in jazz, we just encounter so many 2-5-1s, and every 2-5-1 starts with a minor chord. And I think the 2-5-1 is this really interesting little progression because it's so common that we've actually heard this crazy amount of incredible geniuses played in different ways and approach it in different ways. And some of these voicings that I started finding are just not like anything that I've ever heard anyone else do or apply in this way before. So I think you're really gonna dig this. Let me show you the first one. All right, so the first one looks like this. And it's really interesting because it's actually kind of an A sus2 4 or an A sus2 sus4. It's got both the suspended 2 and the suspended 4, but it doesn't have a 7 of any kind. So take a look at this one more time. We have 1, 5, 1, 9, 4, because again, it's a 4, not an 11 in this case. No 7, 1, 5. And what's so interesting about this voicing to me is that it does sound ambiguous. It actually reminds me of the kind of voicing that the great film composer Thomas Newman might use in an emotional scene because it's not melodramatic. It actually leaves this ambiguity that allows you to feel the emotion. And I love that it's not your typical dominant sus chord that you just expect to resolve. This is really interesting. So it's kind of like, what does this resolve to? Generally speaking, I think it actually resolves to the minor, which makes it sound like it is actually a minor chord in and of itself. Check this little movement out right here. So pretty. We get this beautiful inner motion, and here we get this really interesting chord as well. And that 5th and flat 6 clash is really interesting here. So we have 1, 5, 9, flat 3, flat 6, 4. And again, the reason I'm calling this 4 and not 11 is because it's really kind of like a suspended 4. There's no 7 in here, right? The 7 of A, or the flat 7 would be a G, but there isn't one. So it's not really a 7th chord. But that said, some of this harmony is really interesting, beautiful, ambiguous. I'm really curious what you would call this chord. So my temptation here is to call this something like A minor 2, sus 4, flat 6. Or maybe just write A minor 2, add 4, flat 6. I'm honestly not entirely sure what to call this because I really do want to call it an A minor chord because to me that's what this is. Crazy stuff, let's move on. So let's look at one that's actually kind of similar, but just a bit different. I would actually say slightly less confusing. Check this one out. Kind of has that similar lovely resolution to minor, which makes it sound minor, but suddenly it sounds major when we resolve to the major, like it at least sounds like we're in a major tonality. So check this chord out. If we call this a G chord, we have 1, flat 6, flat 3, 4, flat 7, 4. Okay, wait a second. It's not a 4 this time because we have the flat 7. So it's 1, flat 13, flat 3, 11, flat 7, 11. So we actually do have a 7th chord as the core here because we have that 3rd and flat 7, we know that. And then we add a flat 13 and 11. So you might actually call this G minor 11, flat 13. Sounds a little easier. And actually, before we move on for minor, here's a really simple voicing that I also got from Keith. Check this out. So pretty. It's literally just 1, 5, 2, flat 3, and flat 3 again. So there's no 7. So we could just call this D minor 2. So here's another fairly simple one. If you want a beautiful diminished voicing, in particular here a diminished 9, check this out. resolves nice. So we have 1, double flat 7, 9, flat 3, flat 5, right? So a diminished 7 chord, but we actually have the 9 as well. Really simple, gorgeous voicing, try that out. All right, now to go back to minor, but I couldn't leave this one out. It's too gorgeous. Listen to the cluster inside, and once again, we have that minor 11, but then we also have a 13. Ah, that's just gorgeous, especially in that register. Wow. See it up here? It's nice, but it really works down here. Something about the way it rings out and the overtones and just the shape with the oomph of the bass down here. Couldn't leave that one out. It's just E flat minor 13. Now you'll notice Keith really loves that ambiguity, so that's why he'll sometimes have a couple notes that really make the chord clash and not necessarily exist as a clear one chord or the other. So check this one out. I'm happy we're getting into some dominance here. It's actually pretty simple, but it's really a sus chord. You know that chord probably. It's really, really simple. 1, 5, 9, 4, flat 7. It's a, dominant 7, sus 4, except, of course, we actually add in the 3, and also we have the 9. So this would really be kind of G sus 9, but add 3. Now I'm calling it sus because to me this sounds like a sus chord, but you could also just call this G9 add 4. So G dominant 9 add 4. I'm really curious again in the comments which one of these you would use, if either. Let me know what you would call this. So now I want to actually show you some progressions, some actual resolutions that Keith does and how you can use them because they're really unexpected, really unique, and I think something that will be very, very helpful for you. They're really great for reharmonization, substitution. Let's take a quick look. All right, so this first one goes like this. We have A flat sus. Then we go to this chord that we went over before. And this is so interesting to me because we can use this to get to a G major. So we're kind of substituting for a simple 2-5-1 in G major. So instead of just the simple version, A minor to D7 to G major, and of course I'm saying the simple chord names here, we could actually start with A flat sus. So pretty. It's really unexpected to come from this A flat. Like, did you see that coming? And obviously I'm embellishing it and doing my own thing, but I got this idea from Keith Jarrett because he's just brilliant. Now let's take a super quick break from these mind-bending voicings, and really quick I want to tell you a bit more about the Quartet Play-Along app. The Quartet Live Jazz Standards app is a really wonderful play-along app with all 100% real recorded musicians for the backing tracks and stems. In fact, 9 of Europe's top jazz musicians recorded all of that. And I think that's awesome because for me, it's really important to actually play along with real musicians. There are 4 different editions of the app, and when you put those together, you get all 500 jazz standards, again, recorded by all real musicians. So of course, there are a ton of really great features in this app that will really help you get a solid and effective practice session in. Let me show you a few of them. First of all, we can change keys right on the fly, which is really, really useful if you're just trying to learn a song in different keys, practice improvising in different keys, or let's say you need to play with a singer in their key. Super useful feature. I'm gonna reset back to the original key. You can also change the tempo on the fly. So if you want to practice at different tempos, maybe you're slowly speeding up the tempo, you can play the tune. Also really, really useful. So let's reset the tempo there. Now, as a pianist, I probably am not going to have the piano in, so I'm going to choose to not have that piano stem. So instead, let's do bass and drums. But this is also cool. What if I wanted to work on a bass line? I could just go to piano and drums. And then I really love this. What if I want to practice comping? They have a real musician playing sax. Now you only have to purchase Quartet once to be able to install it across all of your Apple devices, including iPhone, iPad, as well as on Silicon Mac as well. And that just meaning the M1 chip and afterwards. Again, it comes in 4 different editions that make up all 500 songs. You can actually bundle those all together into a single purchase, and then you'll have all 500 good to go. The link is in the description. Definitely recommend checking it out. All right, back to the video. So again, this is something that you could definitely find very, very useful. And we don't actually have to stop there, right? We could do A flat sus. What if we then did A sus, and then went up to the B flat minor, and then got to A flat major 7. So these patterns are things that you can actually use over and over. Oh, by the way, if you want all of these voicings and patterns written out, I got them for you for free. Just use the link in the description to sign up for the free resources library, and you will have access to all this stuff. So there's another resolution that Keith does that I just find so fascinating because it's, again, not something you would hear anyone else do. And that is actually resolving from a sus chord, in this case D sus. What you would expect is to go to D, dominant 7, and probably back to the 1, right? Something like that. But what he'll do is he'll do the sus to the minor. So interesting. Now when you do sus, usually you think it's actually the 5. Maybe you go to the minor if you want to be, interesting or whatever, but most likely you're resolving to the major there. But what's so interesting here is actually he'll do the sus potentially on the 2 minor chord. So we'll do resolve to the minor, and then maybe we go to the 5 sus. So beautiful. And again, this is me embellishing on that little tidbit from Keith Jarrett. Keep that in mind. But this is me showing you some of the use cases of these incredibly brilliant and unique things that he does, particularly when he's playing solo piano. So check it out. We can use this as a pattern here. And then at the very end, I'm going to show you one more beautiful resolution that he does quite a bit. More of a key change here. Check this out. So let's do D sus. Then we'll go to G sus, G minor, C sus, F sus. Maybe this time we'll actually resolve up a half step. That's something I've heard him do quite a bit. So you'll actually be doing the sus half step below. And then you think you're about to go to B flat major, right? But you actually go. And you might actually do the minor half step above, or you might do go to the major a half step above. So gorgeous. Let's look at yet another. I hope you're finding this as incredibly fun and interesting as I am. Let's keep going. So this one is really interesting. Check it out. And what's so interesting is that instead of resolving in the second chord, we resolve from one kind of clashing ambiguous chord to yet another one, but the resolution is so seamless because of the voice leading. So check this out. This is basically B flat major 7 over D. You can do it like that with the A in the bottom of the right hand, or you could also just do the B flat. Now you'd think you would just go down to D minor, right? Which is already really pretty, but no. Keith decides to do the following. You hear that? Whoa. So we go 5 to minor 6, or 5 to flat 6, I should say. And then this becomes kind of an A minor over this shape. So what is that second chord? Well, we more or less went over this sound. It would be D minor 9 flat 13. And by the way, because I do really love calling chords by the root of the chord if it makes sense in some way, this first one I honestly actually might just call D minor flat 6, because it's 1, 5, flat 3, but then it has this flat 6. Otherwise though, nothing else. So ultimately it's D minor flat 6 resolving to D minor 9 flat 13. And keep in mind that that flat 6 is the same note as the flat 13, it's the B flat, right? But this voice leading is crazy. So in this weird way, it's almost resolving the same chord to another version of itself, except that they do sound a bit different because of where the voices are placed, but while maintaining gorgeous voice leading, which is so important. Now, of course, there's so much more to learn from Keith Jarrett, and I definitely plan on doing follow-up videos. Again, thanks to Quartet for sponsoring this video. It really helps me continue to just do the free YouTube tutorials for you all. Definitely check out their app. Link is in the description. Please let me know what you might call some of these voicings, if you have any insights into Keith, where some of his influences come from. And I definitely plan to do some follow-up videos on him because I want to talk about more of his harmony. I also want to talk about how he plays in the trio setting. And I also want to talk about his soloing, of course. I will definitely do a follow-up Keith Jarrett video in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.